it got so bad that I literally I couldn't live life on life's terms. I didn't know how to. My normal was not normal. When you make a wrong choice, you're not only hurting yourself, you hurt the people that care about you. All of a sudden, people start hating you.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm mowing lawns. Like, seriously, you hate on someone mowing a lawn? Come on.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Mayday Podcast. Another episode. Hey, we got my great man Nathan here. Most of you know him as the lawn mowing guy. He's satisfying videos. But yeah, here we're gonna deep dive into his story, his childhood. Most of you probably don't know about, but yeah. How are you, bro?
Thanks so much for having me, my man.
You're all right, bro. Legend.
It's so good to be on here.
How's Chicago, bro?
Yeah, mate. As I was saying before, it's the places that I went were very different, very different. An eye opener, and you just don't realize how good you got it till you get back to Australia.
Man, can't believe you actually went to Chirac. You didn't even know about it, but yeah, it's a big name, bro.
Until you just said that, I didn't know,
Yeah.
you know what that meant. Yeah, Southside, Englewood. Yeah, it's not somewhere I recommend for people wanting to go, volunteer and mow lawns in there that aren't from that area.
Yeah, bro. All right, let's get into it. Can you share your story from experience homelessness throughout your early 20s? What led you to that period in your life?
You know, as a kid, my life was pretty normal. Life was good. Then I got into my teenage years, and a few things happened with me that I don't need to go into, but some stuff happened, and that sort of set me on a different path. I, at the time, obviously didn't know a lot about what was happening then, and to now I do. But I went down basically for me dealing with stuff, I went down a road that I crossed a lot of lines. I did the stuff that you're told not to do as a kid. Your parents tell you not to, all that kind of stuff. And it got to a point, and I always say it was my choice. It's just how I sort of escaped, the reality of what was happening in my life.
Yeah.
And I just crossed the line and went down this path. And I always say once you sort of cross that line, it's really hard to get back to the sort of normal way of life. And it got so bad that I literally I couldn't live life on life's terms. I just didn't know. I didn't know how to. My normal was not normal, and I ended up where I ended up on the streets with nothing. I grew up with a lot of mates, so I'd say I was a popular kid. I had everything, and I'd burn a lot of bridges.
Yeah.
I'd burn all those mates. We're just doing the wrong thing, and you end up on the streets, and that's where I ended. And the next step from there was I was going to end up in jail, or obviously death would have been my next option. And when you're out in that environment, literally where it was in the middle of winter too. I remember it was State of Origin time. I was out there. I was a young kid. I was in my early 20s, and you're out there in the middle of the night. There's no one around. You're on your own. It's cold, and it's when it really hits you, like what's just happened to my life, And I was very lucky that I met two beautiful people from the Salvation Army that pulled me aside and basically sat down and spoke to me. And you have to remember, as a young kid, you think you know everything, you're bulletproof, you don't want to listen, you don't want to be told. And I had to hear some serious home truths of, you've got that option, or that's your option.
Yeah. Was there a moment on the streets that changed your mindset, a turning point that planted the seed for what you built today?
I think I always remember I was, you grow up and I could, for me, you think, yeah, you're pretty tough and you're pretty, all that kind of crap. And when I was out there on my own, and as a younger kid, and then you got all the older men and all that out there, walking around and praying and all that kind of stuff on people like me.
Yeah.
That's when you sort of realize it's all bullshit. This is the real deal, and that's when I knew I don't want this. I don't want this life. I deserve better than this life, and I knew I needed some help, but there was a big part of me that just I still didn't want to accept the help because I still wanted to run my own race.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, 100. Did you carry any resentment or emotional weight from those years?
Yeah, when my life, I got my life back together, and it took a few attempts to get it sort of back on a decent track. It even though I was doing the right thing, I was still filled with a lot of hate, a lot of hatred to my past of what I had done, things that had happened to me, and it was very hard to find kind of inner peace, or just just be happy and appreciate what you got, and that I didn't start finding that probably until the last 5 or 6 years, to be honest, where my world wasn't consumed with this hatred.
Yeah, because when I first met you, straight away I got along with you, humble, very down to earth bloke, and the story you're telling me now, it's like you're a completely different person. Like, what do you reckon changed from back then to now?
Yeah, well, mate, I was a completely different person. I think having kids, you become a father. You got to realize quick that you now got to be responsible for someone else, and obviously with a child that has a few health issues, you got to step up even more. But I think the truth for me was I needed a lot of growing up to do, and it took a lot of years to grow up.
All right. How did that experience shape your priorities? Having a son with a condition,
Yeah, mate. When you have your first child, I mean, you're a father. You got 2 kids, right? You never sort of prepare yourself for something's going to go wrong, and obviously, I got 3 kids, and my first son Benji, he's 12. He had a condition called pulmonary valve stenosis, where we've all got 4 valves in our heart. He's now only got 3. He had to have one removed on the first day of his life. That was open heart surgery. I didn't know anything about any of that stuff. I thought it was just a little quick nick on here and that's it. But they actually got to break through all the ribs and all that, and it's brutal. And obviously, it's your first son. I was not prepared for how it turned. I mean, we knew he was gonna have to have surgery, but I was never prepared for how it all happened, and happened so fast. It happened within a few hours, and next minute I had one doctor trying to explain to me that we have to rush him in for open heart surgery right now, say goodbye, because this might be the last time you ever see him. To another person on the other side saying, we need you to sign this to give consent and all this, and it was just so overwhelming. It was very scary, and yeah, it was horrible, mate. We spent 3 months nearly in Westmead Children's Hospital, which are fantastic stuff, like amazing. But it's I always say it's a very sad place to be in. It's just sick kids, and the reality is I saw a lot of single mums in there, just a lot of single mums, a lot of really sick kids, and you just want to get out of there. you just want to take your kid home. But unfortunately for our case, it was an uphill battle.
It's crazy to see like you talk about your son like that, because we've spoken quite a bit and not once have you mentioned that to me, like your son being sick and that kind of stuff. That just goes to show like how much your son's a priority to you. And it's amazing to see, because like everyone needs a father like that, and like not once have you complained or cried about it. Even to me, like we've spoken quite a few times and you've never mentioned it. Like, and now hearing it, bro, it's like crazy. It's like making me upset and that kind of stuff.
Look, I hate talking about it because it's a subject can get me very emotional. I think, as I always say, I've got 3 kids. I love them all to death. I love them equal. They're all the same. They're all different. I've got a little girl, totally different girls, totally different. The 2 boys, me one in the middle, Matty, he loves sports. He's like a little me. I coach him in his soccer team, have for the last 5 years now. We love it. I was watching your doco with your dad, all that kind of stuff, like to have your own kid actually want you to coach him, for me is a special thing, because I know if it was me, I wouldn't want my dad coaching. I'd want another kick because I know I'm going to get drilled or something's going to happen,
Yeah.
The difference is what with my son Benji is because he's autistic as well. He's mild, but he has autism, and there's a different connection with me and him.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's my first child, maybe because I'm extremely protective of him because of everything he's been through, and he's still things he's got to have done moving forward. But I think I think when I was in the hospital, and I'll say there were 2 things in the hospital that I'll never forget. It's one is the sitting in intensive care, the sound of those machines going on and off. You're just constantly watching them while they're lying there helpless. And the other thing was, I'm a straight shooter. I don't like any bullshit. We're going to talk, just be straight. Something's wrong, tell me. I'll respect you more, whatever. But as I said to the doctor, the main doctor in there, who still sees him to this day, I just said, what's going to happen here? And I said, going to be all right. And he said to me in the first few days, I don't think he'll make it. And I said, how certain are you? And he said, from all this that I've seen and done all this, he said, I'm pretty certain. And, you hear that, you're just like, shit, and to this day, he's here.
Wow. Shout out Benji, man. What inspired you to start Nathan's lawn mowing and gardening? Was it out of survival, passion, or something deeper?
Yeah, I saw that, and that was a good question, out of survival, because I'd never have been asked that before. I left school in year 9. I hated school.
Yeah,
I love sport, all that stuff. I was top of it all. And everything else in there, I was bored. I hated it. And when I left school, I just bounced from job to job, getting into trouble, all that kind of stuff. It wasn't the work ethic. That was not a problem for me. It was just, I was just unsettled.
Yeah. And
then when it came to the point that I had to do something with this, it was the only thing that I knew that I could sort of do, but it probably was out of survival. It was out of, I just got to try it, and there was a lot of fear there of, is it going to work? Is it not? And I was just like, well, let's just see what happens.
Because you started posting nearly a decade ago. How long did it take before you started gaining traction and felt something was shifting?
Because back then there wasn't a lot of people posting about lawn mowing, like, content and all that kind of stuff. There was a bit, but nothing like nowadays. And I think it was about 2020, somewhere around there, where it was starting to grow a bit. And then around 2021 was where it was one video. I've always said it was one video. It was a Sunday night. I shared it across TikTok and Instagram.
Yep.
They were the only 2 platforms I was running at that time. And they just exploded like you've never seen in your life. My phone literally went into a meltdown. There was so much. There was like so many followers and so much stuff was going on. It just shut down. Like literally, your feed stops.
Yeah.
You can't see nothing on your feed. it was interesting. You
Mm.
sort of like, wow, but that's where that was the video that really pushed it.
Yeah.
And then from there, it just sort of grew.
What's it like to post a quiet video of you trimming a lawn and waking up to millions of people watching it?
Yeah. I think in the beginning, when that would happen, that was like, why are so many people watching me do this? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing interesting about what I'm doing, you
Yeah.
know? But, over time, that sort of happens a bit. And I don't know, I just a bit more appreciative and, well, that's fantastic. I try to engage a bit with people that follow me. I don't want to be one of these people that's just like, I don't communicate with anyone in the comments. Especially when I see someone that's really written a long message,
Yeah.
pouring their heart out something, I think it's important to respond and be grateful and, because they're the people that are building this page. I'm just doing the work, but without them, I don't have this page, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%, bro. But even for me, I seen it in the flesh, like off the camera, how humble and grateful you are to even be working this job. Like, not many people know, but the stuff you do off camera that you don't post, it's probably even more beneficial to the families you give back to. Like, they don't see you giving money like all the time. Like, I remember when I first linked up with you, you actually tried to give, or you gave money to the family, but you didn't want to post it. And it's just crazy to see how humble and down to earth you are. And like, not many people see that kind of stuff. Like, you don't really like to post about it because obviously you just like posting about your lawnmower and stuff. But yeah, I wish people got to see like you post about that stuff too. But yeah, I know you don't like to post about it.
Some stuff's best not shared on social media, and some is. And like, I remember that day. That was a great day. We went out there. I've had a few guys come out with me. I've had a few footy players come out. But I've said before, I put you in the top three. You're
Yes.
for working. You were straight into it. You were good. You're a good worker, and it was just good fun. It was just cash, and that's how I like it. Just cash. Like, we've known each other for ages. You know what I mean?
100. Do you ever stop to think about how many lives you've impacted?
Look, I, I'm just always grateful that I get to meet these people, and if anything, I'd say I think they do more of an impact on my life, because by me doing this, it keeps me level-headed and keeps me doing the right thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Some of the jobs you take on carry heavy stories behind them. Are there any clean outs that have stuck with you emotionally?
Yeah, I went to New Zealand beginning of last year. That was the first time I decided to go out of the country and just see what happens, because we've got followers around the world, and I went over to New Zealand and I went there for 3 days, and it was literally all it was 3 days to do as much as I could, and we went over there and I'd put it up and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. And I got a few messages, but there was one lady, she was a mother of 5. She was young. She had only just lost her husband to bowel cancer. He was in his early 40s, 5 beautiful kids. And she just also had a stroke, and it was just horrible. And I'd never been in New Zealand, and the houses over there, they're massive. They're big yards. They're such a family network. And that was one lady I'll never forget.
Do you see yourself now more as a community worker than a gardener, or is it just who you are?
I think over time it's maybe evolving into sort of what I'm meant to be, what I'm meant to be doing. I started off as a gardener in a business of survival, maybe, of just trying to put food on the table, and then it's sort of gone in the direction that I can possibly be who I'm probably meant to be, is turn my life around and try to spread a bit of kindness and hope and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you're obviously doing a great job in the community. I feel like, to be honest, you're one of the nicest, kindest people I've met, and I've seen you're not shy to go up to families and just talk to them. Even like, people don't say it, you actually take your time out of the day just to have a convo with them, see how they are, that kind of stuff. Like, where did you get that, like, humbleness and that kind of stuff from you? Where do you reckon? Was it from the experiences you had, or was it from your family?
I think a lot, and I say it on my social media platforms, a lot of what I do, I do because I did a lot of wrong things. Like, I wasn't a little pretty angel. I did some pretty shocking things, and I try to do as much right now so that I can right my wrongs.
Yeah.
And hopefully whatever happens when you're not around is that if I've got to go knocking on some gates to get in, that they're going to say, mate, you squared it up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And as I just say, I get more out of the people talking to because I relate to them. Mate, I'm no better than them. You know what I mean? I understand struggle, and I hope that when I'm around them, they can be more relaxed and not think I'm judging them, and just be like, hey, he's just one of us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense because obviously you've been through those experiences with struggle and that. And that's why I feel like you can relate to many people. Like out in my community, straight away, we went to a couple houses and straight away the first one we picked, you were like talking to the family, they said, yeah. And I felt like you had a deeper connection than just knocking on a door. And you can tell when in each of your videos, you're genuine, you're kind-hearted. And I think most people see that. Obviously, some people are just going to be like, have their opinions. And how do you like settle from the people that hate on you to the people that love you? Like you just
Look, I've grown up where there's been a lot of close people that hate me or want to disown me or any of that kind of stuff. All that used to affect me as a kid and into my early adult years. It did, especially when it's your own family.
Yeah.
But on social media, one thing I learned, and I'm not perfect, I'm going to get people that hate me. I'm going to get people that are going to write anything about me. That's part and parcel of I'm on there, I'm open slaver. I try my best to ignore it, and I also try my best, if I do see it, that I don't let it affect me.
Yeah.
It's everyone's entitled to opinion.
100.
You know what I mean? And that's their stuff. It's not my stuff.
Because you probably think like someone writing on social media, I've been through way worse, like, you reckon? Or do you just be like, oh, I don't really care?
Yeah, as I said, if you've lived a life I've lived, yeah, it's had some serious ups and downs.
Yeah.
But when it's social media and they come at me, I'm lucky I've got a good partner. That way, she keeps, because there are some days that my hands are out ready to go. I'm like, oh, you
Don't
got me on
worry,
that one.
I feel the same, man.
But my partner Kelly, she's just like, mate, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Don't ruin your reputation or your name for someone you don't know that
100%.
wants to say something about you. Focus on the positive. And it isn't easy.
Mad. Tell us the full story of Chicago. What pushed you to fly there and be in one of the most dangerous areas in the USA?
Yeah, so I am sponsored by Echo Tools, Australia, fantastic brands.
Yeah.
Giving them a plug, but they are fantastic.
Message me. I need a lawnmower.
So obviously they're in America as well.
Yeah.
They've jumped in. I'm an ambassador for them. Yep. And they're based in Chicago, in Lake Zurich. So a part of that is I've got to go over there, do a bit about their equipment, all that kind of stuff. So we spent 3 days there, and it was good. Where it was, I didn't know. Just putting in there is right next to Michael Jordan's old house. So I went down there.
I've seen that.
Did some videos. I was buzzing on there, but trying to do some joke videos until the actual guy answered. He's like, "Who is this? What are you doing at my door?" I was like, "Can I come in and cut your grass?" He's like, "You're not." So we were there. Nice area, like really nice area, like safe, everything, walking around. And then every time I go to America now, I go for 7 days. I don't want to be too long away from my kids. So I've got 4 days pretty much to do whatever I want. Now this is on me. This has nothing to do with Echo. So they just give me tools and they go do whatever you want. So I then went into, I like to go into the places you're told don't go. That's still a bit of old me when you say don't. I'm like, I'm gonna. And I want to, by going into, say, where I went, Chicago, the south side, and Milwaukee, the north and east, which is it's a very serious crime rate there. Yeah. By going in there, I want to try to look for the people that are doing it tough, that are happy to come out and just chat, and just so I can also show the side that every area has bad people or bad things, but you're going to always find nice people in these areas too. And I want to go in there, and just to say, last year was the first time I went to America. I drove through there. I shit myself. I don't shit myself. I shit myself because I was driving through. I did not get out of the car. I just want to get out and mow a nature strip size this table just to say I'd done it. I couldn't because I knew I was going to get into a problem here. And this time going back, I'm like, I'm doing it. I don't care. I want to do it. And I just wanted also for the people living there, because when you say you're from Australia, they're like, what are you doing? Like here, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's actually a good icebreaker because they sort of have a bit of a respect for you. Like, you've come here, you know? And I'm like, yeah. And it's, as I said, I was lucky. I met some great people over there, and I actually had the police escort me on one of the days. They actually sat in the car across from me, but the rules were if the incident happens outside, they have to go, which is fair. But otherwise, they're like, look, we've seen some of your videos. We know who you are. We know you're not here for a problem. We'll come and just sit, because the street that I was in was literally running into their main gang street, where it's like a no-go zone. And when I was working there, I've never mowed lawns, even with the police there so fast. Like I was mowing quick, and when I was in there, I could see because the police car was parked, so they were doing laps. You could see the same car coming past doing a few laps. So they were eyeing me out. And then one of them stopped, and the police were ready to get out of the car. And then I was like, they kept moving and whatnot. But the thing when I was over there was I just made sure that I didn't stay in the one spot. I kept moving because word would get out. There's a guy here. I was in a rental car, which, it was just a rental car, but it stood out where I was. And, mate, it was scary, not going to lie, but I'm very glad I did it. It's a story I've always got for myself, that I overcame my fears. And as I said, I don't recommend doing this kind of stuff. Don't go, let's go mow a lawn in these places. But there was that incident I told you about before. There was a sketchy part, but it's as I said, I'm not a local. For the local people, a lot are going to say, hey, there's nothing wrong here or whatever. But I did make sure I spoke to many police officers. I spoke to a lot of locals, a lot of the community members, and pretty much all said, we don't recommend you do this. But as I said, I did it, and I'm glad I did so.
How does the work in the USA compare to the work in Australia?
As in properties and stuff like that?
Just in general, like people,
kind
of stuff.
Well, as I said, everywhere I went was areas that is no-go sort of areas. I actually found the people really cool. That place in Milwaukee, I did that video where the gang members are sitting on the corner of the street and they're just staring at me the whole time. I could see them. I'm like, and I thought to myself, if something's going to happen to me, it would have happened now
already.
And I just went, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen here, but I just said, I just walked straight down and put my hand out. I said, hey mate, how you going? And just the look in his eyes, like, what'd you say? I said, hey, g'day mate, and he's like, where are you from? And I said, Australia. And that was the icebreaker. But as I spoke for a little bit, but I knew there's a point, okay, it's time to leave.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But mate, it's very different to Australia. Very different.
I heard your partner's dad is Bulldogs grand final winner from the 80s. Have you always been connected to rugby league?
Yeah, so the great Mark Hughes. So Mark was one of three, Gary and Graham, and they won the grand final in 80. And Gary, brother, had Corey, Glenn, and Stephen. Corey was in the 2004 winning grand final team for the Bulldogs. And it was interesting. I grew up in Ryde, so as a kid, I'd go out to Leichhardt.
Yeah.
Just because family followed Balmain back then. From the 69 grand final, they'd won it. And I used to just be there all the time back then when I was Winfield, when it was Panasonic Cup on Wednesday nights. You'd go out there with Benny Elias, Wayne Pearce, all those blokes. They were my idols.
Yeah.
And that's all you did. So I did it in school, played footy, loved all that. And I've always, then obviously the merger, it's Tigers. I don't really care. It's West Tigers now, and that's who I follow.
Yeah.
And I've always followed the Tigers, always would. And, then obviously my partner, her dad, Bulldogs and all that. And it was interesting when I met him because, I didn't know, not only was he a great football player, but he was a recruiter and scout. And he worked, with the Bulldogs and then Souths and Penrith.
Yeah.
Just recently, and he scouted some really good, well-known players. Jonathan Thurston, Sonny Bill, Sam Burgess, your mate Appy Coruscant. Some really talent, and it's good. I enjoy. I go to the games with him, and I was just recently here at Leichhardt for some SG ball. He'd been asked to scout a young kid, just his opinion, and it's interesting to go out there and watch that side of things of how what they look for. Because I'd always say he's up there as one of the greats in the people he's found, and it's just interesting to watch how they do it. What they're looking for in a player, and just how he says, maybe 100 people will come through in the juniors, but you'll be lucky if one's actually going to make it through. It's a hard gig.
Very hard. Obviously, I didn't make like SG ball and that kind of stuff, and I remember a lot of people saying, yeah, there'll probably, like, in that whole SG ball, like the whole comp, there'll probably be 2 or 3 of you that make NRL. So statistic wise, that's probably like 5%, not even that. Like, so it's crazy to hear what they're looking for and that kind of stuff.
Well, even like I would have thought if you're going out to watch a match, I'd be thinking you'd be sitting in the middle part of the stadium, so you can get a bit of an idea, whatever. Every time I go with him, we've got to go to the back behind the goalpost. He wants to see from behind, either you're running at him or you're running away from him, because he wants to be watching the plays unfold, as in like he's on that field.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
That's mad. With everything you built, the business, the following, the lives changed, what is your most proud moment?
Obviously being a father. It's, something that, especially from where I came, is extremely proud, and, having a beautiful partner as well. But I think for me, personally, it's being able to change my life, to being able to probably, I don't get it right all the time, but, sort of live life on life's terms without all the chaos and crap going on in your head and all that, just my life's a lot easier now and more relaxed, and that's what makes me happy.
What keeps you grounded when you're doing cleanups or on the tools all day?
When I go out to some of these places where they're struggling, it just, I find they're the best sort of therapy for me, because it reminds me of where I've been, and it reminds me of what I've got, and it can also, in some places I go, not all, it can remind me of where I could end up again.
Yeah.
And I need all that sort of balance, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Without the balance, my life doesn't work properly.
Yeah, because obviously with the community stuff and that, you don't charge nothing. You do it all for free. So it's pretty crazy to see like how you're just out there like doing your best to obviously make your wrongs your rights. So it's amazing to see and obviously get a different perspective of life because obviously I'm in the footy community, so stuff like that. But yeah, when I came out to see you that day, it was crazy. Like even for you, just to like want to go out and do this kind of stuff. Like I've never seen anyone want to do that kind of stuff. Like volunteer their whole day just to mow stuff for free and do that kind of stuff. Give back to the community. So hey, shout out to you, bro.
But as I say, you know, if you got two choices, you can do the wrong thing or the right thing. And I guarantee you, doing the right thing is always going to be better than the wrong.
Yeah, 100%. Because obviously you've known from experiences what's wrong and what's right, and now you know. Like even for your kids, you're trying to teach them. You know, I've messed up in the past, so now I'm trying to show you the steps to take to do all these right things. So yeah,
I don't. I wouldn't want my children to walk a path like mine, not because it was not good, because I don't want them to suffer in ways that they don't really need to. That makes it. There's always better choices out there, and you said before, like even footy players, it's not an easy gig.
No.
You've got a lot you've got to commit to. You got a lot you go without. It's not just hey, here's a bit of money and it's all this. You got to make sure you've got your weight, you're eating the right food. List goes on. But it's what makes you happy.
Yeah, 100%. Because I feel like a lot of people get the perspective wrong. Like they think, oh, I've seen like a lot of people saying, oh, it's the easiest job in the world. Like you just get to do this, but they don't know what it comes with, like all the other stuff. Even for you, like they're probably thinking, oh, he's just mowing a lawn. Like, but if it was easy, everyone would do it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I cop a lot of that kind of stuff on social media, and yeah, it's easy to go, I'm going to bite back into that, but you got to keep your mouth quiet. But one thing I'd say about what I do, running a social media channels is completely different to lawn mowing. That's out there physical. This is out now mental, and this is not my best area. If that makes sense. I'm more just give me tools and let me just destroy stuff. And this is something to have gotten where I am on there. That's not we just do it once a week or I do it. It's every day, whether it's an hour. You're opening messages, responding to people, kind of stuff. It's like footy. If you want to be good at something, you've got to give it your all.
I always say this because no one taught us how to run social media in school or in general life. Like no one taught us what that kind of stuff comes with, like people hating on you and that. Is that the same as for you? Like you didn't know, you obviously know about lawn mowing, like, yeah, it's easy, I'll just go mow lawns, but you didn't know about the social media side of it. Like,
Oh, mate, I was cruising for a while. I was like, this is awesome, mowing lawns and making videos, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's cool, I like it, rah, rah, rah. And then all of a sudden, your accounts start growing and it changes. All of a sudden, people start hating you.
yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm mowing lawns. Like, seriously, you hate on someone mowing a lawn? Come on.
Crazy, man.
But you just got to try to block that head noise out.
If you could speak to your younger self or any younger bloke doing it tough, what's one message you'll leave them with?
If I was speaking to myself, I'd be, mate, you need to make some better choices in your life. I think really important is when you make a wrong choice, you're not only hurting yourself, you hurt the people that care about you. And sometimes it's a greater impact on them than you could actually imagine. And, life, we're here for a short time. So make the best out of it and enjoy it and just be nice to people. And it's a cliche, but it's true. You never know what's going on in someone's life.
That's crazy because you actually don't. But I appreciate you spending your time coming out here, jumping on a podcast. You've only done one little one before. I honestly reckon you're one of the most genuine, humble, respectful people I've ever met in my life. And I just want to, say thank you so much for coming out at your busy schedule and sharing your story with the Mayday people. Big love to Nathan and his family. Obviously, they go for Tigers, so let's go Tigers, bro. After Tigers, man.
Always got time for you, my man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.